In the summer of 1944, as the Eastern Front surged westward and the German Wehrmacht began to lose its grip on occupied territories, deep within the dense pine forests of the Świętokrzyskie region in central Poland, an extraordinary skirmish unfolded, one that, despite its scale, has lived mostly in the memories of local villages and faded partisan journals. This is the story of a 10-man Polish resistance group, codenamed Wilk III, who, against staggering odds, confronted a company of over 100 SS soldiers during a routine sweep of the forest for partisan activity. It was a brief, brutal engagement, overshadowed by the sweeping tides of war, yet remembered for its intensity, courage, and tactical ingenuity. The Polish side, Wilk III. The unit known as Wilk III was one of many fragmented detachments operating under the broader command of the Armia Krajowa, Home Army, Poland's primary resistance movement. Led by Sergeant Janusz Lis Kowalczyk, a former forestry student from Krakow, the group consisted of just 10 fighters, most of them in their 20s, 2 of them teenagers. They were poorly equipped, 3 rifles between them, a couple of grenades, 2 submachine guns salvaged from previous ambushes, and knowledge of the forest that far outweighed any firepower they possessed. Their mission that summer was not to confront the enemy head-on, but to sabotage German supply lines, relay intelligence to the Soviets, and protect nearby villages from retribution squads. Yet, on the morning of July 11th, that mission changed. Reports had come from a shepherd boy, a column of German soldiers, likely Waffen-SS, moving southward through the forest. The unit was well armed, with a milligram 42 and mortar squad among their ranks, over 100 men. It was a clearing operation, standard procedure in Nazi-occupied Poland to eliminate partisans before a major retreat. Instead of fleeing, Kowalczyk made a fateful decision: delay them. Even an hour's distraction could give nearby resistance groups time to reposition, and possibly save the lives of civilians in the path of the SS. The ambush site was selected near a narrow forest path hemmed in by thick underbrush and an incline that forced the Germans into a single-file formation. Trees stood like natural bunkers, and fallen logs and old root tangles provided makeshift cover. The Wilk III unit positioned themselves like ghosts among the greenery. It began just after noon. The forest air was thick with the heat of July, the humming of insects masking the click of a grenade pin. When the SS Point squad reached a clearing surrounded by high brush, Lis gave the signal, a crow's call. A grenade arced into the lead group, followed by a burst from a Sten gun. Chaos erupted. The lead Germans fell, the column bunched up behind them. A second grenade detonated against the trunk of a pine, splintering bark and men alike. Wilk III's riflemen fired only single, precise shots. They could not afford to waste ammunition. The SS, trained and ruthless, responded quickly. The milligram 42 set up on a rock outcropping and unleashed a brutal burst, chewing through trees. Kowalczyk's second-in-command, Wiktor Mali Sadowski, was hit in the leg and pulled behind a fallen birch by another fighter. Return fire was minimal, but every shot from Wilk III was measured, aimed, and deadly. The battle lasted just under 40 minutes. The partisans changed positions constantly, using the terrain to simulate a much larger force. Crude traps, sharpened sticks, snare wires, and a single landmine scavenged from a railway track delayed the Germans' advance further. A misjudged mortar round from the SS landed short, causing confusion in their own ranks. It was during that moment of hesitation that Kowalczyk gave the order to withdraw. They vanished into the forest, silent as they came. The SS held the ground, but only after losing over 20 men. More were wounded. And though Wilk III lost 2 fighters, Sadowski died from blood loss, and another, Tomasz Radwan, was found weeks later, executed near the forest edge. The mission was a success in the eyes of the partisans. The SS company never reached the village of Mudru, which had been their likely destination. That night, the remaining villages were evacuated under cover of darkness. The resistance had bought them time, with blood, cunning, and trees for armor. In modern Poland, the story of Wilk III remains largely untold outside Świętokrzyskie. A rusted rifle and a broken compass, found decades later near the site, sit in a small glass case in the Regional Museum of Ostrowiec Świętokrzyskie. There's a plaque now on an old pine, marking the spot of the ambush. Locals still leave candles there on November 11th, Independence Day. No medals were awarded, and no monuments raised beyond that quiet marker. But among the pines and moss-covered stones, where echoes of war once cracked through the air, the memory of the 10 who held the trees lives on.